Tonight on ABC News Live, prime state of emergency on the West Coast. 100,000 residents face possible flood evacuations. Rescues are underway as water levels hit record numbers. Meanwhile, a new Arctic blast and a fresh blanket of snow move in from the Midwest to the Northeast.
I'm Trevor Ault in the flood zone in Washington state, where more than a foot of rain has fallen and rivers are raging out of their banks.
University of Michigan's head football coach arrested on allegations of assault just hours after being fired from the top job. The school first announced his dismissal in a statement, saying the 39-year-old married father of three allegedly had an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. More than 20 million Americans are all but certain to see their health insurance premiums soar at the end of the year after two bills failed to pass the House and the Senate.
I'm Mary Bruce at the White House, where many are now looking to the president for a plan.
Angelina Resendez was in the Navy when she was killed. Now a date has been set for a fellow service member to go on trial for her death. Her mother says the Navy was dishonest in the handling of the case, and she's now not only fighting for her daughter, but for similar cases involving women in the military. We take an in-depth look in tonight's Prime Focus.
The change that I am looking for would feel safe for women to join the military.
Heart-pounding images 15,000 feet in the air. Skydivers hang on to the side of a plane. A parachute accidentally deploys too early. One skydiver in a free fall, the other tangled on the plane's tail. How they both managed to survive.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with the major concern in Washington state. 100,000 people told to evacuate as rivers rise and communities are facing catastrophic flooding. It comes after 3 days of torrential rain. Entire neighborhoods, look at that, underwater. Hundreds of National Guard members have been activated. Emergency teams rescued people from their homes and cars. Two drivers were trapped in rushing water, airlifted to safety. One of them pulled from a tree. And tonight we're also tracking a new system moving from Montana to Virginia. Dangerous driving in the Northeast. And a new Arctic blast is now moving in. Below zero wind chills from Minnesota to New York to Maine throughout this weekend. We'll have the forecast in a moment. But first, ABC's Trevor Ault leads us off in the flood zone.
Tonight, rivers raging out of their banks across the Pacific Northwest. 100,000 residents warned to be ready to evacuate. More than a foot of rain already, and multiple rivers in Washington are in major flood stage. Look at Issaquah Creek racing into the parking lot of this apartment complex here. Emergency workers came in after midnight to get everybody evacuated because the water level was rising so quickly. Not far from here, first responders from Eastside Fire and Rescue and a Navy chopper working to save two drivers caught in the rapids, one of them found clinging to a tree. Blackhawks also making rescues. Swift water teams fanning out all across the impacted areas.
If you have instructions to evacuate from your local authorities, please, please, please evacuate.
Residents sandbagging along the Green River. Michael Patak and his brother using heavy equipment.
We're just trying to build a wall, like a little island perimeter around the property here, to keep the water out from the house.
And as rivers rise in the west, new rounds of snow slamming the Midwest and Great Lakes. Planes struggling to land in Rochester, New York. Some spots there could get up to a foot of snow in the next 48 hours with sub-zero wind chills right behind it.
Snow and flooding and freezing temperatures, a dangerous cocktail there. Trevor Ault joins us now from the flood zone. Trevor, what a scene right behind you. Is there still more danger ahead for residents?
Oh, definitely, Lindsay. I mean, this is just the Snohomish River, which is raging here. They had built 33-foot levees to contain this, and it just climbed right up over the top of them as it shattered its record high water level. But here's the thing. Some rivers in Washington have not even crested yet. They likely won't crest until midday tomorrow. This is going to stay at this high water level for quite some time. And then there's even more rain on the way Sunday. Could be a dangerous stretch of days for the people of Washington. Lindsay?
Sure seems that way. All right. Trevor Ault for us. Thanks so much, Trevor. And let's get right to meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our partner station WABC. Hi, Danny.
Hey, Lindsay. We're going to start with the Pacific Northwest. Relentless rain all week long has left area rivers at flood stages, right? We do get a brief break with rain over the course of the weekend, but the next round starts to move in as we head towards Sunday night and Monday. This round, early next week, not going to be as significant in terms of rain accumulation, but considering the ground is already saturated and those river levels are already high, any additional moisture can make those rivers swell once again. Now moving to the east, we're watching at lake effect snow continuing for western New York, parts of Pennsylvania, thanks to the cold and blustery conditions. And we're watching a clipper system that's going to bring a slick Thursday evening commute from Sioux Falls down through about Pikeville. So you can see that large swath of the country dealing with some accumulating snowfall as we head into tonight. That is going to start to stack up again, the evening commute, and then taper off into Friday. Then our attention turns to the cold, right? Significant cold. An Arctic blast for the weekend. We're looking at sub-zero wind chills from Minneapolis down through Chicago into Buffalo as we head toward the weekend. And in New York City, it'll feel like teens on Friday. The I-95 corridor gets the core of that cold heading into the start of the week before things trend a little bit milder moving into the end of the coming week. Lindsay?
Okay, mild. We'll look forward to that.
That's optimistic.
Danny, thank you. And now we move on to the major escalation between the U.S. and Venezuela 24 hours after American forces seized an oil tanker off Venezuela's coast. Today, the White House was pressed as to whether there will be others. The Trump administration also sanctioned 3 of President Nicolas Maduro's nephews and 6 more oil tankers today. Here's our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz.
Tonight, extraordinary new images released of the seizure of the oil tanker Skipper off the Venezuelan coast, with more seizures possible. The U.S. now sanctioning 6 additional tankers they claim are carrying oil from Venezuela.
We're not going to stand by and watch sanctioned vessels sail the seas with black market oil.
An elite Coast Guard tactical operations unit rappelling onto the deck of the tanker from U.S. Navy helicopters, with guns drawn, spreading out to clear and search the tanker. Sources telling us there was no resistance from the crew and no injuries. Officials say that tanker was transporting sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran as part of an illicit oil shipping network supporting foreign terrorist organizations, and is now being guided to a U.S. port.
The United States currently has a full investigative team on the ground, on the vessel, and individuals on board the vessel are being interviewed.
The Navy helicopters which swarmed the tanker and ferried the Coast Guard unit took off from the aircraft carrier USS Gerald Ford in the Caribbean, part of the massive buildup of U.S. forces, some 15,000 now in the region.
And Lindsay, all of this is meant to pressure Venezuela's President Maduro, who is calling the seizure of the tanker an act of international piracy. But those seizures, like the boat strikes, are likely to continue, with President Trump saying just moments ago that strikes on land are going to be starting pretty soon. Lindsay?
Martha, thank you. Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been released from an immigration detention facility tonight. It comes after a federal judge in Maryland ordered the government to immediately release him no later than 5 p.m. His attorney said that they hope this marks a turning point for Abrego Garcia, lauding his release as an extraordinary victory for due process. The White House says they do plan to appeal the decision. The battle over health care continued today on Capitol Hill, with 2 bills failing to pass the Senate and the House. More than 20 million Americans are in danger of seeing their health care costs skyrocket in just 3 weeks on January 1st. A question now is, does the president himself have a plan? Mary Bruce reports from the White House.
Tonight, more than 20 million Americans are all but certain to see their health care insurance premiums soar at the end of the year after Senate Republicans blocked a move to extend Obamacare subsidies.
After this, we'll not have time to try again before premiums shoot through the roof.
But Republicans refusing, saying the whole health care system needs to be overhauled.
Democrats' so-called plan is a 3-year extension of the status quo. No reforms, no revisions, no rethinking of the way that Obamacare works. Bring down the cost of health care.
But Republicans still have not agreed on their own health care plan, and President Trump hasn't released a plan of his own. During last year's campaign, he said he had, quote, concepts of a plan.
The president is working with his healthcare policy team here at the White House, as well as Republicans on Capitol Hill, to find a solution.
But these subsidies are expiring at the end of the year. So what is the plan, and what is he going to do to put this in place in the next 2-3 weeks?
You'll hear more from the president and from the White House on that very soon.
Anxiously waiting in Kanab, Utah, Stacy Cox and her husband, who are expecting their monthly insurance premium to soon quadruple from $495 to more than $2,100.
If those credits aren't extended, we don't have health insurance. We can't afford it.
And tonight, still no clarity from the president, and Republicans in Congress are still far apart on this matter, and they're supposed to leave for the holiday at the end of next week. Lindsay.
Mary Bruce from the White House for us. Thank you. For more now, let's check in with what's going on in the House. And we're joined by Republican Nick LaLota of New York. Thank you so much for your time. You've signed on to co-sponsor a bill that includes a 2-year extension of health insurance premium savings and a year extension of some tax credits. We, of course, saw the efforts to extend ACA subsidies fail in the Senate today. Talk to us about this bipartisan effort in the House and if you think that it can succeed in the limited time left in the year.
Yeah, the bipartisan group of about 35 House lawmakers are interested in meeting the moment. And what is required is a solution to 15 years of Obamacare and a lot of good things about the program. But in that 15 years, premiums have risen 60% more than inflation. 1 in 3 claims are denied, while insurance companies are making record profits and families are squeezed. Obviously, there needs to be some good long-term reforms done, but at the same time, have a short-term answer for the subsidies that are expiring at the end of the year. So the bipartisan plan from a bunch of centrists from around the country has that bifurcated approach, extends the subsidies while at the same time instituting reforms that actually tackle the long-term drivers of these high healthcare costs.
If these ACA subsidies expire, New Yorkers could pay up to $10,000 more per person. Do you think a failure to address this could cost the Republicans control of the Congress?
I'm most interested in a governmental solution, one good for my constituents and everyday Americans. I've always subscribed to good government as good politics, and those political chips will fall where they may. I don't think my friends from the other side of the aisle get to say that they're totally innocent in this approach. They passed Obamacare with just one Republican vote 15 years ago. That's been the driver, Obamacare, of higher costs, of insurance companies making a lot of money, of a lot of claims from families getting denied. The structure is extremely flawed. But rather than try to assign blame to one political party, a lot of us are working together to ensure that we have a solution that meets the moment, both now, but in years to come, to help ensure making healthcare a little more accessible, a little more affordable for everyday Americans.
With regard to that solution, you think there's any chance that Congress will pass something by the end of the calendar year?
I'm hopeful. We have another couple of weeks on the legislative calendar. Some folks from the political middle are the driving force behind this. I think some of the folks on the extremes don't want there to be a solution because it solves their political narrative. But despite that, a number of us are working together to ensure that we actually tackle the problem.
A new poll from the AP today put President Trump's approval on handling the economy at 31%. Here's what the president had to say this week about the economy.
But I do want to talk about the economy, sir, here at home. And I wonder what grade you would give your economy. A plus.
Yeah, A plus, 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 plus.
What grade would you give the economy right now?
So I think we're heading in the right direction. We Republicans here in the House, the Senate, and the White House, who have total control of government right now, we inherited a tough situation, inflation rates that averaged 5% under President Biden. That, of course, was fueled by his very narrow anti-petroleum energy policies, rampant government spending, crazy regulations, and offshoring of many American jobs. We Republicans here in Washington are trying to cure a lot of those issues. I think my constituents especially are going to be pleased when they file their federal taxes in 2026, when they see all the different good deals they have in that tax code. First and foremost, the quadrupling of the state and local tax deduction, which is going to put between $2,000 and $7,000 back in the pockets of regular, everyday, middle-class Americans. I want them to retake that poll once folks file their taxes next year, because I think a lot of them will be quite pleased with those results.
Congressman LaLota, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks. Enjoy your day.
You too. The Indiana State Senate today voted to reject a new congressional map that could have left Indiana Democrats with 0 seats in the House of Representatives. Democrats currently hold 2 of the 9 seats allotted. Despite pressure from the White House, 21 Republicans voted with Democrats to leave the map as it is. The vote was 19 for, 31 against. Indiana Governor Mike Braun and House Speaker Johnson both said that they were disappointed by the outcome. The suspect charged with murdering conservative activist Charlie Kirk made his first in-person court appearance today. Tyler Robinson wearing a suit, smiling in the courtroom. Here's our Jonathan Carl.
Court is now in session.
Tonight, the first in-person court appearance of Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old man who allegedly murdered Charlie Kirk while he was speaking at a college campus in Utah.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
Dressed in a light blue shirt, a patterned tie, and wearing shackles, Robinson seemed at ease as he conferred with his lawyers, at one point smiling.
I recognize Mr. Robinson in the courtroom.
Also in court, Robinson's brother and his parents, who had convinced the accused killer to turn himself in. Today's hearing, Robinson's lawyers asked the judge to remove cameras from the court, though Kirk's widow, Erica, says the trial is something the world should see.
There were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered. There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras in there.
The judge hasn't decided yet whether cameras will be allowed in court once the trial begins. As for Taylor Robinson, he has not yet entered a plea. Prosecutors say they intend to seek the death penalty. Lindsay?
John, thank you. Now to the stunning firing and investigation of University of Michigan head football coach Sharon Moore. The university announced yesterday that Moore was fired for cause because of an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Hours later, he was taken into police custody in an alleged assault and is set to be arraigned tomorrow. Whit Johnson has the very latest.
Tonight, the stunning fall from grace for University of Michigan head football coach Sharon Moore, now under arrest on allegations of assault just hours after being fired from the top job. Police responding to a call yesterday afternoon in the Pittsfield Township area, where they say a suspect was taken into custody, adding the incident does not appear to be random in nature. This dispatch audio seeming to match the location of the alleged assault at the home of a University of Michigan employee.
There's a male at the location in the house attacking her. The state's been stalking her for months.
Dispatchers also heard saying the man threatened to harm himself before fleeing the scene.
They're also advising when he left the location on their call, he walked out with several knives.
Yesterday, before his arrest, the University of Michigan announcing in a statement it had fired the 39-year-old married father of 3 with cause effective immediately after the school says he allegedly had an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, saying UM maintains zero tolerance for such behavior.
And Lindsay, an attorney for Moore, has stated he has no comment. So far, Moore has not been charged. He remains in custody and is expected to appear in court tomorrow. Lindsay?
Our thanks to Whit Johnson. And for more on this ongoing situation, we're joined now by ESPN's Adam Rittenberg. Adam, thanks so much for coming on the show. It feels like so much has happened in just about 24 hours. What's the latest that you're hearing about Moore's status?
Well, Sharon Moore remains in the Washtenaw County Jail tonight and is set to be arraigned on Friday. He still hasn't been formally charged with anything, but was detained after the incident near Michigan's football headquarters at a local apartment complex where there was reports of an assault. There was reports that he was threatening somebody else, but also posing a threat to himself. And so he was obviously taken into custody, and he remains there for a second night since being fired as Michigan's coach.
What more do we know now about what actually led up to him being fired when he was?
Right, so sources told me that Michigan had been looking into an allegation involving Sharon Moore, a conduct allegation, even during the season, but as of mid to late November, had not found sufficient evidence to take any action against him from an employment perspective. But that investigation was still somewhat ongoing, and that they obviously received more information this week. Not sure exactly what information was passed along, but it was enough so that the school moved quickly to fire Sharon Sharon Moore. Speaking to some sources in the building today, they were getting ready for practice on Wednesday. It was a normal day, bowl practice, getting ready for Texas, and suddenly Ward Manuel, the athletic director, called everyone together, the staff, the players, and informed them that Sharon Moore had been fired, and then Michigan later that day putting out the release that it was a for-cause firing for this improper relationship with another staff member.
Where does the University of Michigan and its athletics department go from here?
Well, there are significant questions, macro questions about Ward Manuel, the athletic director, and whether he should remain in his role. There have been a number of negative incidents that have occurred, especially with football, but also with some other sports in the last 4 to 5 years under his watch. There's also been a lot of championships and positive things, but is he going to remain? Is he going to lead this search for Sharon Moore's replacement, which I think Michigan would love to have done by the end of the calendar year? The transfer portal opens on January 2nd. It's not going to affect the Michigan roster any differently. Those players will be able to go into the portal at that time, not any earlier. When the rule is that when the head coach is hired, players will have 30 days to go into the portal, but the timeline really does match up with the other programs. So the goal now is to find a new head coach at Michigan and someone who can create stability, success on the field, but also some stability off of it, because there hasn't been much in the last 5 years.
You're certainly right about that. All right, Adam Rittenberg, we thank you so much. Former NBA star Jason Collins revealed today that he has stage 4 glioblastoma, one of the deadliest forms of brain cancer. Collins made history back in 2013, coming out as the NBA's first openly gay player. In an interview with ESPN, he said his tumor could not be removed due to its shape, adding that people with his type of tumor are normally given about a year to live. Collins also vowed to seek out new treatments that can help him and others. Pittsburgh Steelers star pass rusher TJ Watt has been hospitalized tonight. The Steelers say he's undergoing medical evaluation after experiencing discomfort at practice yesterday. Sources tell ESPN Watt experienced some sort of lung injury at the team's facility before being taken to the hospital. The Steelers say that they're unsure if he will play Monday night. A powerful explosion and a fire leveled a home in Hayward, California, outside of San Francisco. At least 6 people were injured and neighboring homes were damaged. A construction crew was working in the street at the time of the blast. ABC's Melissa Adon reports from California.
Tonight, a catastrophic gas explosion rocking a neighborhood in Hayward, California, just outside of Oakland. Debris shooting into the sky, this worker ducking for cover. At least 6 people injured, 3 seriously.
We have what appears to be multiple patients.
Brittany Maldonado's doorbell camera capturing the explosion.
Everything just shakes. And when we watched our camera, it was like a bomb went off.
The massive blast destroying at least 2 homes and damaging others.
My roof collapsed on me, and I was in bed.
Authorities say a construction company hit a gas line early this morning, which exploded 2 hours later.
What we're going to do is spend the next several hours combing through the debris, making sure there's no more fire.
Linsey, the gas company was on scene when the explosion occurred, and now an urgent investigation is underway. Linsey?
Melissa, thank you. Now to heart-pounding images 15,000 feet in the air. Skydivers preparing to jump from a plane. One of their parachutes accidentally deploys too early. One skydiver suddenly gets tangled and dangling from the plane's tail, while another skydiver ends up in a free fall. Here's ABC's Will Reeve.
Tonight, this terrifying moment captured midair, a skydiver dangling from a plane by their parachute at nearly 15,000 feet. The skydiver on board this small plane back in September, about to attempt a group jump over Australia's Tully Airport. Watch as this skydiver leaves the plane, clearing the way for the next one to step out. But as that second skydiver exits, their reserve parachute flies open. Watch closely as the parachute's handle appears to snag on the plane flap. The orange reserve parachute deploying, dragging that skydiver backward, then wrapping around the plane's tail, the skydiver hanging from its lines. That other skydiver sent flying, but deploying their parachute. With the plane now damaged, some of the remaining skydivers ordered to jump. That stranded skydiver using a knife to get free, releasing the main parachute before landing safely with minor injuries. The aircraft returning to the airport, a piece of that reserve parachute still attached to the tail.
Our thanks to Will Reeves. Some harrowing moments there. Coming up, FIFA is under fire as fan groups are accusing the Football Association of unfair ticket prices ahead of the highly anticipated World Cup games. Plus, Angelina Resendez lost her life while stationed in Virginia serving in the Navy. And her grieving mother says that the Navy was dishonest about her disappearance, her death, and now are holding details of her accused killer's upcoming murder trial under lock and key.
She's scared to miss work. Like, where's my kid? And I called her friend back and let him know. I was like, hey, they said she's okay. That they found her. He told me not to believe them.
And they are the fuel behind the artificial intelligence movement. Meet Time's 2025 Person of the Year. Welcome back. Tonight, we tell the story of slain Navy sailor Angelina Resendez, a 21-year-old culinary specialist stationed in Virginia who allegedly lost her life at the hands of a fellow service member whose murder trial was just set to start in June of 2026. Now her family is demanding change and accountability from the military after charging documents from the Navy Criminal Investigation Service revealed that the man suspected of killing Angie had multiple allegations prior to her death, including rape, sexual assault, and revenge porn. Their hope now is that women can be safe to serve. ABC News' Stephanie Ramos has the story.
It was a calling, is what she said.
Angelina Resendez, lovingly referred to as Angie, was 18 years old when she joined the military. In her second year, she would be stationed at the Norfolk Naval Base in Virginia, nearly 2,000 miles away from her home in Texas.
She made new friends and she was excited about the things that, what a culinary specialist, like what it opens up once she leaves the Navy. May 29, her friends reached out to my son and to myself to let us know that they have not seen Angie and no one was helping them.
According to the Virginia State Police, Angie was last seen on May 29, 2025, around 10 a.m. at her barracks at the naval station. That same day, Angie's friends reached out to Esmeralda, telling her they couldn't find her daughter. Esmeralda contacted the military immediately.
When I called and I said Angie's name, they already knew who she was and why I was calling.
On June 3rd, a missing persons alert was issued by the Virginia State Police on behalf of the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, known as NCIS. 9 days later, the Navy formally announced Angelina's disappearance.
It just brings you to your knees. You just, like start praying, like, what is happening?
The Navy's not responsible for telling the family anything. The Navy also doesn't have a responsibility to discuss any other people that she potentially was with or her, who she might have left with or came back with. They're only required to note that she has been missing for 10 days or more.
After Esmeralda reported Angie missing to the Navy, an NCIS spokesperson told her that Angie came back to the base. She then asked the Navy to have Angie contact her, but that never happened.
And I called her friend back and let him know. I was like, hey, they said she's okay, that they found her. He told me not to believe them.
Then she saw a post by NCIS. On June 10th, while scrolling on Facebook, Esmeralda read the words, "Deceased body discovered." Her daughter was dead. Esmeralda told us NCIS posted on social media before reaching out, releasing a statement that the Norfolk Medical Examiner's Office confirmed her body was discovered in a wooded area and that a sailor was placed in pre-trial confinement in connection to her death.
I wanted to see her. I can't say that it looked like a body, right? It looked like it's just meat, and it was meat infested with maggots. Like, did you just send her home like this?
10 days after reporting Angie's death, on June 20th, her body was sent back home to Texas. Esmeralda saying goodbye to Angie, without answers, without an autopsy report, and not knowing who the fellow sailor being held in confinement was.
If someone has been put in confinement, they are not required to provide any information to the family.
it's hard.
It's the worst thing a parent can go through.
Like Angie, but Angie's in the box now. Like, Angie's not here anymore. What do you do? I have a fight now. She's changed my life again, completely. And so, but good things can come. I really do believe it. Like, something good's gonna come.
Now, as we stand, accountability is something that does not exist with the military.
We say enough. Can you say her name? Angelina. Angelina.
4 months after her disappearance, Angelina's family told ABC News the sailor being held in confinement was officially charged. NCIS did not release a statement about the charges, and 3 months after her family informed us, they sent a charging document revealing the suspect was Seaman Jeremiah T. Copeland, charged with the murder of Angelina Resendez, who was believed to be killed on May 29th, the day she was last seen.
It's like my spine is missing, or my heart, or anything, like, because that's my little sister, you know, I grew up with her.
He took a life, and he took it for what reason? Why did he take it? That's what makes me mad. Why? And why did the Navy let this happen?
Adding to the family's anger, the charging document included a laundry list of other accusations. Copeland had additional charges stemming from multiple incidents in 2024 and 2025 prior to Angelina's murder, with multiple names of alleged victims blacked out for their privacy. The details gruesome, with charges including sexual misconduct, rape, obstructing justice, and revenge porn.
He has a past of doing all this stuff already.
To other
girls.
An individual familiar with the NCIS investigation told ABC News they immediately commenced a variety of investigative steps when NCIS received a notification from the Norfolk Police Department the evening of May 31st, 2 days after Esmeralda called them. They added that their actions increased over the next 10 days until Angelina's body was recovered.
I think my daughter, this is the rest of her life.
The change that I am looking for would feel safe for women to join the military. Last time I talked to Angie's friends, when I went to Virginia, they're scared. Like the women, they're scared for each other. They're scared for themselves. Are you just gonna let the military come up with their own plan?
Well, the Navy, it would be the Department of Defense and the Navy.
Congressman Vicente Gonzalez is one of 19 members of Congress demanding more information and additional protections so this doesn't happen again.
Every Latino member of Congress in the state of Texas signed this letter, and we sent that to Secretary Phelan at the Navy.
Nearly 56% of women of color have reported some form of military sexual trauma. Within the Department of Defense, many of the sexual harassment and assault programs have been impacted because they recognize that there are disproportionate and disparate impacts of harassment and assault on women of color. Those programs have largely been defunded or stopped in recent months.
Last 5 years, we've had I have reports of 4 young women. There may be many more because there's no public database that informs the public of other situations like this.
I still can't believe this is happening, right? Like all the things the next steps that have to happen, hurt. And so, like, just to think about Angie, because I'm like, why do I have to take these steps? Because she's not here. She is under the pillows with her head sticking out and her tongue sticking out. But she's not here anymore. This is what life is not right now. It is helping Angie, still helping Angie. Like that, when I think about it, like I have to help my kid.
And she's still doing what she can to help. NCIS told ABC News they cannot comment any further as legal proceedings are underway. Our thanks to Stephanie Ramos for that story. Coming up, notice that you're paying more to keep the lights on. Just how much electric bills have spiked since January. Plus, it's the most expensive Star Wars memorabilia ever auctioned. How much a superfan shelled out for the painting that introduced Star Wars to the world. Welcome back to Prime. Here's a look at the stories making headlines right now. Washington is now under a state of emergency as catastrophic flooding has closed at least 30 highways across the state in what officials are describing as an unpredictable situation. Thousands of residents have already been evacuated, and authorities are asking anyone who has not done so to please comply for their safety. 6 people have been sent to nearby hospitals after an explosion in the Bay Area. The Pacific Gas and Electric Company said that a construction crew hit a gas line which caused the blast. The condition of the 6 injured is unknown at this time, and officials are saying 2 homes were impacted by the resulting fire. The Indiana State Senate has voted to reject a new congressional map that would have allowed Republicans to flip 2 Democratic-held House districts in the 2026 midterm elections. The bill needed 26 votes in favor to pass, but received only 19. House Speaker Mike Johnson said that he was disappointed in the outcome, while the Democratic lawmakers that represent the districts in question celebrated the vote. NASCAR has reached a settlement in the antitrust lawsuit filed by 2 of its racing teams, including one owned by NBA legend Michael Jordan. The lawsuit was filed after the 2 teams felt a revenue-sharing agreement presented by NASCAR was unfair, alleging that company was using anti-competitive and exclusionary practices. The details of the settlement have not yet been released. And still ahead, the massive investment Disney is making into OpenAI and how it could change your viewing experience. And Time's Person of the Year is in, who the magazine chose, and why it's a little different this time around. Welcome back, everyone. Today, the Walt Disney Company, the parent company of ABC News, announced a major agreement with OpenAI that will allow users of OpenAI's short-form video platform, Sora, as well as ChatGPT images, to have access to copyrighted characters from Disney and its properties. The agreement will also see Disney become a major customer of OpenAI by using its technologies across its businesses. And some of those user-generated videos involving the characters will be made available on Disney+. Let's look further into this agreement by the numbers. Disney and OpenAI today announced a 3-year licensing agreement that will make Disney the first major content licensing partner on Sora. Users of the platform will now have access to more than 200 characters from Disney, Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars. Sora creates videos up to 1 minute long based on user prompts, similar to how ChatGPT works. The agreement also includes Disney making a $1 billion equity investment into OpenAI. In the statement announcing this deal, Disney and OpenAI said that they were both committed to the responsible use of AI that protects user safety and the rights of creators. They also said Sora and ChatGPT images are expected to start generating content with the Disney characters early next year. And coming up, we'll tell you the unique tradition from Switzerland that was just added to UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List, and our conversation with the cast of the new rom-com Merv, including the adorable title character at the center of it all. FIFA under fire as fan groups claim that the World Cup ticket prices are a, quote, ripoff. Time Magazine's 2025 Person of the Year, the minds behind the AI boom. And the Powerball jackpot swells yet again. These stories and more in tonight's rundown. FIFA has been urged to halt World Cup ticket sales after some of the sport's most loyal fans say that they were paying extortionate prices for tickets, with the cheapest for the final coming in at over $4,000. All fans will be able to go online between now and January 13th and try to order as many tickets as they would like at fixed prices. After the closure of the sale window, fans will see how many, if any, tickets they successfully purchased. A newly released report by Climate Power, a climate advocacy organization, says that electric bills have increased by 13%
And residential gas prices have gone up by 98% in America since President Donald Trump took office in January. And in their December energy snapshot, organizers reviewed data from an analysis by the Center for American Progress and the Natural Resources Defense Council, showing that American households are paying on average 9.6% more in utility bills than in 2024. And the increase in utility costs is creating more debt for some families. As of November, Texas had the highest number of residents in utility debt, with nearly 1 million households facing overdue balances. Time magazine has named the architects of artificial intelligence as their 2025 Person of the Year, citing their enormous impact on humanity's life. Time magazine is one of several media outlets that have signed deals with AI firms to license their content and create new tools. The magazine, owned by Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff, signed a years-long deal with OpenAI last year that gave its ChatGPT access to the magazine's archives. The Powerball jackpot has climbed to an estimated $1 billion after no one won the grand prize in Wednesday night's drawing. It's the second billion-dollar Powerball jackpot this year and the seventh largest prize in the game's history, according to Powerball. The jackpot has an estimated cash value of more than $460 million. The next drawing is set for Saturday night. An iconic painting that introduced millions to a galaxy far, far away was sold for nearly $4 million at auction. The airbrush and acrylic painting by movie poster designer Tom Jung was used as a billboard and magazine ad to promote the first Star Wars back in 1977. The painting features Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, as well as the X-Wing aircraft used in the movie's final set piece to attack and destroy the Death Star. And UNESCO is adding Swiss yodeling to its list of intangible cultural heritage. The UN Cultural Agency decided that the traditional songs and chants found in the Alpine region of Europe was worthy of inclusion on the list. It should be noted that this list is different from the UNESCO World Heritage sites that honor physical sites important to humanity, like the pyramids in Egypt. Pets are part of the family, and Merv puts that into a new perspective in the rom-com starring familiar faces and a new furry one. Take a look. They say our pets are in tune with our emotions. So what happens when a recent breakup meets the loyalty of a furry friend? Actor Zooey Deschanel and Charlie Cox step into the spirit of the holidays with Merv, with wintry backdrops, heartfelt moments, and a dog who seems to know exactly what everyone needs. Merv brings a bright, warm holiday glow to the screen. Let's take a look.
I believe Merv is sad.
Sad?
What? He's suffering from depression.
Why would he be depressed?
Yeah, no.
Merv is crushing life, okay?
Dogs are very sensitive to anything that throws their routine. You know, like a breakup.
Zooey and Charlie, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
So this movie really touches on a lot of heartfelt moments. You got chaos also, a breakup, plus you add a dog. You all have played really emotional characters before. How was it different, do you think? What was new about this experience?
Well, having a dog in every scene is a pretty new experience for me. You know, obviously the title of the movie is Merv, so he is the central character. So we're kind of, Zoe and I, just supporting him.
Zooey, many people know you. Of course, you played in a holiday movie, Elf. What was it, alongside Will Ferrell, what was it like returning to the set of a holiday movie for Merv?
Well, you know, I didn't know it was a holiday movie when I signed on. It wasn't really like I was thinking, I mean, because it wasn't about Santa Claus or like reindeer or anything. It was, but you know what? I've been thinking of it like this. Like, if you think of a guy eating alone on a Tuesday, you're like, oh, that's kind of sad. And then if you think of a guy eating alone on Christmas, you're like, oh, that's so sad. So it's an emotion intensifier. I think it's like a wonderful, warm time of year when everybody comes together. I think it's like a movie you can watch all year long, but maybe like especially poignant during the holidays.
Give us a sense, because people love their pets. Do you think that a lot of people are going to relate to the idea of co-parenting a dog and really the angst that we see between the two characters through the eyes of Merv?
Yeah, I mean, and when I read the script, it felt like what a charming, interesting, unique situation that these characters find themselves in. But since making the movie and you know, telling a lot of my friends and family like the premise of the movie, I've heard so many people say, oh yeah, I've done that. I've co-parented a dog, or I've been in that situation. And so I think a lot of people will relate, yeah.
And we do have a little bit of a surprise because Merv is here, the star of the film. Here we go. Hi, Gus.
Yeah, this is Gus. Hi, Gus.
He's so well behaved, so trained. I mean, I need this kind of trainer in my own life.
You got to get Caitlin to come and follow your dogs around.
Were there moments on set when Gus really steals the show?
I think the whole time.
Yeah.
I think he's doing it right now.
It's really annoying, actually.
I think you kind of experience a lot of the emotion of these characters through Gus's face. You know?
Yeah, and sound effects.
The eyes, the puppy dog eyes.
Yeah.
Are either of you dog people?
Well, I love dogs. I don't have one right now. I have cats, but Charlie has a dog.
Yeah, and we actually got a dog after the movie. I was inspired by the movie to get a dog, so we have one now.
Have you ever...
I had dogs in the past, yeah.
And have you ever had a moment, a tough time in life where you a pet
Yes,
helped you?
years ago I did a movie. I had to go to Argentina, and so I had to lend my dog to my parents. And I had a very difficult time getting him back. They were not into they got very attached.
Ultimately, you got the dog back.
Ultimately, I did not get the dog back. It was true story. It was decided that he had a better, more consistent life at their house, which I think is fair, but it was hard.
But look at Gus. He's just so well behaved.
He's so good.
Look
He's
at
such
him.
a good boy.
He knows right where the camera is.
No, he
right?
knows right where the sausage is.
Yeah,
There's a sausage off camera. He's looking at
like, hey, all right, I'm going to get that snack in a little bit. Zoe, Charlie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Merv is now streaming on Prime Video. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.